Hi, everyone. What are the greatest takeaways from the homecoming seminar with 250 doctors around the nation? We're going to find out.
This is Doug, the Formulator.
And this is Miss Natural Olympia Hilary.
And I am super excited to do this because I wasn't able to make it to every talk. So
Absolutely.
I can't wait to see what you have to say.
All right, let's go. So
Okay.
remember to subscribe, hit the little bell below so that you can be notified whenever we come out with new podcasts. We really hope that you'll take a moment and do that. It means a lot to us. And then also comment on the
Absolutely.
videos. We're going to be doing some new things this year and some different guests. And we really like to see how you like it and the direction you'd like to go.
100%.
All right.
Okay.
So we had seminar January 23rd through 26th.
Yeah, it's the Brimhall Homecoming, and it is how we kick off the year of seminars every year for the last, how long?
Decade or
Decade?
so.
Yeah, it seems like that at least. So, we're always excited to have the Brimhall Homecoming and to, of course, highlight Dr. John Brimhall and Brett Brimhall and all of the amazing doctors that serve.
Absolutely. And what's different with that seminar? It's even deeper holistic than some of our other seminars. And it's fun to kind of see that because we try to implement a lot of chemistry, organic chemistry, and the data driven, protocols like we are really deep into. But then also with the things that they're learning from energy medicine and quantum physics and things, and it's like mind blowing.
Yeah.
But try to do it in a way that the health professionals can have actionable items to go back to their clinic and implement right now to help people before the rest of the world finds out about it. Like we've been teaching about the plastics and those things for quite a while, and now it's
Right.
finally coming around in the public. So,
Yeah.
why don't we talk about each of the talks somewhat and
Okay.
main takeaways, and that way those that are watching can really hopefully get some nuggets that is new and exciting before they come out from the research years to come.
Okay. Do you want to start with Friday morning?
Ooh, I like Friday morning.
Because Thursday's mainly just registration, right?
A lot of work where the doctors are hand-on, kind of sharing what they do,
Okay.
with other doctors. But yeah,
Yeah. So I think you were the first speaker, weren't you?
it was kind of kicking off the theme,
Okay. Which was?
detox to thrive,
All right.
and that was the theme of the whole seminar. And what I try to bring out in that talk was why it's important for every single person, whether it's us as just people, the doctors' patients, or the doctors themselves, to think about detoxing on the daily basis and then also doing a deeper detox every so often, whether that's once every few weeks, once a month, once a quarter, and
Okay.
making that a part of their life.
Yeah. So what would it mean to detox on a daily basis?
So detox on a daily basis is taking in the foods that naturally have the phytonutrients or other nutrients that their job is to actually cleanse the body. So for example, a simple thing would be like blueberries. Having blueberries every day actually helps to keep the cells clean that go past the blood-brain barrier. That we know that if you have a handful of blueberries within 12 minutes, you have cognitive improvement. And it's not just from the nutrients, it's from some of the cleansing properties of them. So things like that.
I love that. I also, just to add to that, I like the concept of adding some new things that you're not always used to trying in the diet, raw foods. And we did that recently when we introduced more papaya and how great we both felt inflammatory wise, just the cleansing
Absolutely.
that came from that.
And
So,
that's a great point too, as far as papaya, pineapple, all of those things are natural. They have natural ingredients in them like papain and that been known to help with like parasites and things that we know that most people have now. Two out
right.
of three people have them. And we also set the stage in that talk to really lay the foundation that this problem that we've been talking about with plastics and phthalates and the pesticides like glyphosate and that is real in a huge way. So much of the data is so strong. We're not just preaching and people like, yeah, you guys are a little weird, but the data is so strong now showing that it causes disturbances, that it causes problems with children and in learning, and it causes problems with endocrine disruption, with being able to get pregnant and early decline, cognitive wise, dementia. Um, Increasing your risk for disease, just everything. And so what we want to do is lay this foundation and say, guys, this is not speculative anymore.
Right.
This is a real deal.
Right. And then we went into the great and legendary Dr. John Brimhall.
Yeah, that was neat. It was interesting because he was talking about how the average American lifespan for a male is 80 and he's 72, I think, or something like that. Or I can't remember. It might be
Yeah.
78, maybe it's 90. I can't remember. But he says, I don't, I still have over a decade left to share with you everything I've done. And it was kind of cool to like then listen. But from that, he kind of went a little bit different approach into detox, saying, okay, what happens when we're worried about things like even like radiation?
Yeah.
Like not necessarily a full nuclear fallout, but radiation that happens a lot, and how every country that has a big concern about serious fallout, like Chernobyl type things like that, then there's one nutrient they give the population to help protect against the damage of radiation, which is huge, and it's iodine.
Wow.
And so, just the importance of iodine. And one of the things that radiation affects the most, okay, we're talking radiation, it could be from cell phone towers to actual, Chernobyl type stuff, and everything in between, microwaves, all of that,
Right.
radiation, right?
Right.
Then one of the main things that it affects first is the thyroid and shuts the thyroid down. But what they found was if the thyroid is full of healthy organic iodine, then the radiation can't affect it as much because what radiation does is actually radiates the body with a radioactive iodine. And if the thyroid is deficient, it fills it up with the radioactive iodine, and that can cause death or just problems for most of us through our life. But if we keep it full, that radioactive iodine, there's no place for it to go.
Wow.
Right. So the importance of iodine in our diet, that in itself, I was like, make sure I take my iodine. And it's one of the things we test for in the Nutrients RX blood test. Like, where are we at? We need to know where we're at with it.
Right. Very
Cool.
cool.
So that
And
was
then,
neat.
yeah, that is neat. And then I like the concept of when Dr. Brett Brimhall came on and it was more of a detoxing your clinic, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a little twist there.
Yeah.
Liked it.
Yeah.
And the takeaway from it is everyone needs to read a book called The Big Leap. The Big Leap talks about the importance of jumping out of the bowl, right? There's a little fish on the cover of it, and looking at detoxing your life from things that I saw a study the other day. It was really cool about lifespan, and they showed it in squares, and there's your average lifespan, and it was for an 18-year-old. And it said, now, if you look at the average habits of an 18-year-old for the past 4 years, and then put in amount of sleep, how much time you're going to spend eating, going to the bathroom, that type of stuff. If you do that, the average, meaning screen time,
Right.
right, things like that with their phones and video games or whatever, things that are just really not super productive
Right.
necessarily, just more of scrolling type stuff.
Yeah.
That in all reality, that it takes up almost 80% of their entire life after that.
Whoa.
And that's a huge thing. So it was like, detoxing your life of like, hey, are you really spending the time doing the things you should be doing? So that was really cool.
Really cool. Really, really cool. And then was it Dr. Harris?
Then it got deep.
Yeah. I want so bad to stay when he's talking and to be able to understand, but it just isn't there for me.
And we tell the doctors, look, stay because the last 15 minutes he brings it all together. And this is one of the top
He is brilliant.
scientists in the world
Yeah.
today. And he gave a talk. And look, the talk was on what's called CAMP, cyclic adenosine monophosphate. And you're like, okay, who cares about that? That's a weird thing. But we all heard of ATP, like that's the energy
Right.
that's made from the mitochondria, right?
Right.
ATP is energy. And it's this derivative of that is a messenger to the body to like detoxify the liver and do all these things. So when your body makes ATP and provides energy, it also sends signals to your organs to help them cleanse and do their thing. So kind of with me on that.
Yeah.
And so then he says, okay, what is missing to keep your body when it makes ATP? What's missing to make sure that would keep those molecules, those messengers, the camp messengers from going and doing their job so that the organs cleanse. And it was specifically, the research shows antioxidants. So things like vitamins A, C, E, and C, but more importantly, things like resveratrol, the deep vital nutrients, things found in fruit and veggie, or what's in the product he made called Protect, which is, you heard of things like lutein and zeaxanthin. These are high powered antioxidants found in foods, but it's great to add in higher dosages of them to make sure this camp molecule works. So although it was deep, it was really cool.
Really cool.
Just showing
Yeah.
the importance of antioxidants in the diet.
Yeah, and actually what's really cool at the Brimhall seminars is that there's a lot of hands-on training, which I think is really unique to Brimhall. And they spend so much time hands-on.
Yeah, that's really interesting. We love watching that at times because there's a lot of chiropractors there and that hands-on, but a lot more hands-on of trying to explain and help the body, even the patients get a feel themselves innately of what's going on and to be able to say, hey, here's something that's happening. I should look into it, the tests or whatever. And to be able to ask the body different things, even into things called applied kinesiology, which is not our expertise, but it's interesting to watch it because we know we're all made of energy.
Yeah, it's incredibly interesting. And it's incredibly interesting for these, doctors that have their own techniques and ways of doing things, whether it's adjustments or anything else. And then they get to watch, other doctors who have been successful at what they do kind of provide a new way of looking at it maybe, or a new, just new techniques. So it's really, really cool. So they did that through the afternoon. And then just one of my most favorite people ever, Dr.Jeneen Ridgeway, went on. What did she talk about?
Food toxicity.
Ooh,
which is
one.
cool. So go back to detoxing, but talking about one of the big focuses of this year, right? The Great American Food Fraud and the toxicities in our food. And she did a deep dive into that with a kind of a different angle that was really, really cool to say, look, it is almost impossible to completely get rid of these foods in our life that have toxins because you need to get a healthy food that might have some of the toxins in it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And she came back around to digest your food, take Digestamil when you eat, give all the choices to make healthier choices, number one, but take Digestamil and then take Chemzyme in between, because even if you're eating the healthiest food, as we found out, if it's being stored in a lot of plastics, old plastics, things like that, then those plastics will seep into the food. And
have we done the Digestamil demo on camera?
We'll have to do that next time.
We need to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that's amazing. And then one of the great thought leaders.
Yeah.
I was going to say mind readers. Thanks. I'm so grateful I have you.
I read your mind.
No, you didn't, because you said the right thing. No, one of the great thought leaders. I actually love to listen to Chris Smith. I think he's one of the most motivating individuals that I've listened to.
Yeah, and what's interesting is, we have some great thought leaders that we have access to. Like, it's one of the greatest blessings in our life, right?
100%.
To have clients that are great thought leaders, get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. We get to talk to them weekly. The David Meltzers, the Ben Hardys, the Russell Brunsons, but here in our hometown of 2,500 people, no stoplights, right? Yeah. We have actually one of the great thought leaders, Chris Smith.
And he
came in.
Yeah, he's so personable and just so relatable, I think, is one of the great things about him, right?
Right.
And with all of those people in our lives, the common denominator between each one of them, these amazing thought leaders, is their perspective on both the past and the future, and how they truly believe that they are doing good, that good is coming to them, and that God is working in their favor always. And I just think that's so profound.
It is,
because it's a commonality.
Absolutely, and that's very true amongst them all. They just have their own way of saying
their own
it, right?
way, right?
And his talk was about how to play to win in the doctor's practices, but also in life, and how most people play not to lose. A few people are a little bit further along and they play to play.
Right.
They like playing. They like, let's get in there, let's do this. And then you have those that play to win. And it's like the same amount of time. And you're either playing not to lose, you're just playing to play, or you play to win. Why not play to win? And just talked about the importance of that mindset. Now we're wired to play not to lose. And we give ourselves a pat on the back when we play to play. And that's true because it is, we're wired to not lose, right? Like, let's make sure everything's cool. But we are divinely wired to actually play to win.
Yeah.
Right? We just have to overcome the human flesh and realize that the spirit is here to play to win. And once you get to that point, life changes. And I think that's one of the big factors, not just with the thought leaders, but people that are successful in health and in families and business and everything else, is they're playing to win.
Playing to win. I like it. And then, of course, you have your inner circle, which is really cool. What is your inner circle?
So our inner circle are a group of health professionals that have joined in to say, look, we absolutely are going to be holistic in our clinic. We're not going to use synthetic vitamins. We're going to teach about nutrition and food and exercise and do it right at the holistic level. And they set goals and work to meet those goals. And that's it. If they do those things and they're like in it to win it with us, right? And we just that same vibe, we're playing to win, then we invite them to be in the inner circle. And that inner circle is just a group of doctors that we'll do things with. Like we're going on a cruise with them in what,
We
two
are
weeks?
in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Wow.
And we take them places and we just feel each other. We network and we grow. And we come up with ideas of how to help the other health professionals and help the public be able to reach optimal health. And it's one of those things that goes back to Think and Grow Rich, right? The mastermind group. And we just created our own. And it's a great group. We're so blessed to have them.
So blessed. So then we go into Saturday and we start the day off with Dr. Patrick Porter, who is one of the great brain doctors, right?
Yeah, I mean, his PhD, I think right now on the planet, with all the research studies they're doing all over the nation, all over the world, and the work he's doing, I'd say he's probably the top brain mapper person to help people with the brain, meaning like how do you switch to be able to get good sleep at night? How do you switch into the modes to, work productively? Basically from alpha, beta, gamma, theta, all these different modes that your brain goes through. And a lot, and his number one thing is like the number one's nutrition, but I'm not the nutritionist. Go listen to those at OHS and them. But after that, it's about getting the right vibrations and signals. So we have some equipment I highly recommend called Brain Tap you check out. And
Yeah, that one was all about brain detox.
and it was about brain
Which
detoxing.
is cool.
And it was really cool because you can the same thing to stimulate the brain. You can use frequencies and music and listening to the right things to actually detox the brain. So that was
I
really
love
cool.
that. Yeah, 100% love that.
And then I
And
let
then,
loose.
yeah, go ahead. I I don't know. Go ahead.
What? You didn't like it?
You did great. You always do great.
I was extremely bold. And look, we've been in this
You?
business for decades.
Shook.
Shook. We've been in this business for decades. And one of the main things that people need to do is reduce body fat. And it's all the time. A lot of times, the last thing the doctors tell the patient when they know that's the first thing the patient should do, and many of the symptoms and problems would go away. And it's like this taboo thing to say, "Oh, you have too much body fat. Here's a program to help you, uh, get rid of it. Tell us about nutrition, what you like, whether we give you a full program or just ideas. But let's address this issue." And so the goal was to make the health professionals and the public realize, look, this is absolutely should be at the top of your list of what you need to do to be able to reach optimal health is get your body fat percentage where it should be. And yeah, right. It's like where everyone freaks out and becomes victims and all
Yeah,
that.
but think about I mean I feel like our group took it really well and they were awesome. But in general that it's a hard discussion sometimes. But I always find it really interesting when people tell me that they go and they see their doctor and they tell them what they're experiencing, whether it's, you know, mental fog, depression, anxiety, whatever they're experiencing. And the first thing that doesn't come out of the doctor's mouth is, tell me about your lifestyle and tell me about the foods that you consume. And it's rarely something that is usually never the first thing that they discuss, right?
Yeah, and
And
that's the
rarely
way.
does it even come up.
Yeah, and that's why you can tell the difference between a drug dealer and a doctor. And it's a fact. And we have some great friends that are drug dealers. So, meaning that they don't talk about lifestyle first, right? And they're good doctors. But that's the fact is that no drug has ever fixed a disease. It's lifestyle. And so, what we did is we just went through the ultimate plan to be able to reduce body fat. And for doctors to say, no matter what the patient comes in with, right, a history of yo-yo dieting or taking prescriptions and cause problems, in prednisone, whatever that might cause weight gain, no matter what, you can help them reduce body fat, which is going to improve the symptoms of whatever reason they came in. I don't care if they came in with back pain. We're going to take pressure off the back, by doing that. And so it was hopefully went over well. We're
I think it
actually
did.
going over that with webinars and webinars after that to be able to help doctors implement true fat reduction programs in their clinic. They go through mindset, nutrition, exercise, supplementation, not just a pill, not just supplements, not just that, but actually everything that's needed. So holistic approach is the only way to go.
Always. And then we go back to Mark Harris, Dr. Harris.
Yeah, and he just went through another one of these, proteins, this one called cyclic AMP, and we won't get into a lot of details of it, but basically about detoxing the brain. And again, his big thing with it was there's a lot of um, chemicals now that have been completely proven, like glyphosate from Roundup and any of these other chemicals sprayed on the foods that really affect the brain and the proteins in the brain. And we can get
Mm,
rid of those with things like fulvic minerals, right? And
yeah,
with the enzymes, and just kind
yeah.
of back again to detox, detox,
Detox,
detox.
detox. Right. And then Dr. Brimhall came on again. It is the Brimhall seminar. What did he tell us all about?
Well, I think that his whole thing was he had a personal experience with celiac disease, right?
And
He
the
had
gut. Yeah, all about the gut, right?
Yeah, and it was like how he overcame that by switching to a high vegetable diet, which he being a hunter and everything, like we know a lot of his history with
Yeah,
your dad and everything,
yeah.
that he was a lot more of the red meat eating, which if it was pure, it was good, but he got to where it didn't really focus on the purity of it necessarily, and it started affecting him, and he felt that and made that switch and realized that the gut is the key and that vegetables have their own probiotics and they also help the gut make a whole bunch of different probiotics. So the key is that the gut is really the center and that much of the cleansing and detoxing from the body actually comes from the gut. So eat more probiotic rich foods, fermented foods, vegetables, vegetables, vegetables. It was a
Love it.
great talk.
So good. And then we go into Dr. Pickel and Dr. Ridgeway again.
And there we're mainly helping the doctors with the systems.
Mm-hmm.
The name of our company is Optimal Health Systems for a reason. And they were teaching the systems to the doctors because to be holistic, the key is that you have to specialize on what you really feel you're called to do, right? At
Right.
best, the surgeons, the acupuncturists, the chiropractors, naturopaths, everyone has their specialty. And our job at Optimal Health Systems is to provide the tools so they can be holistic and be great at everything else without taking a lot of time. So we spend a lot of time teaching those things.
Yeah, no, and I love that. And I love that Brimhall is every area. We're not just trying to hit all about vitamins and minerals and antioxidants and tell you all about them, but not tell you a system and how to,
Implement.
implement. So yeah, I think Brimhall's great at implementation. And then we had some antioxidants for cell detox by Dr. Brett Brimhall.
Yeah, and it's basically taking a lot of Dr. Harris's talks and bringing it back down a little bit
Love it.
easier to
Love
understand.
it. And
Brett
it's
does a good job at that.
the repetition and the repetition in a different way,
Mhm.
right? Because we all learn and
And then we
understand
talked
differently.
about detox in another area.
Yeah, what was that one? Emotional?
Emotional detox, Dr. Cook, really great Chinese medicine doctor. And then Dr.Lankerin, one of the best, talking about actually EMFs from the cell towers and everything else affecting us and how we need to stop that interference. And there's things you can do to help block that, the OG shields,
Right.
clothing, things like that, but other things that you can do. And then also, the supplements that help with it. Again, going back a little bit to the Chemzyme and iodine type stuff. And so I think
So
that was
good.
really, really, really
Yeah,
important.
love it. Hitting detoxification from every single
Yeah.
standpoint that we can. Uh, and then did we go into Sunday? Did I
Yeah,
miss one?
no, I think like everything else was along those lines. Then we went into Sunday, which one of my favorites. And, we give out papers every year for people to give us comments. And I keep thinking, they're not going to want this, but this seems to be a part of their favorite. And that's where all of us that spoke line up. And so we have like 8 of us up there, and we go for like 2 hours and just let the doctors fire questions at us. And we do this panel discussion. And I love that because then I get a feel for really what is on their mind and
Yeah.
what's going on. And this year, it was 100% towards the endocrine disruption. Like our patients are having major issues with too much estrogen and feel like they're going crazy and not enough testosterone and all this. And the chemicals and the commitment to go and get rid of the plastics in their body by using like Chemzyme and that while they're improving the diet and just the change that's happening by focusing on those things quickly, like change happens quickly.
Yeah.
And then we just finished up with the our model with the doctors, and that is, commit. Like you've got to double down your commitment because you're going to get bombarded with everything from the government teaching wrong about nutrition and people saying you're a quack because, especially like medical doctors like Dr.
Right.
Tay and that we have that get hammered for teaching lifestyle and commit and then serve your patients, serve the public with all your might, and then scale. Find a way to scale outside of your clinic so that you can help thousands and thousands. And that was kind of our message to finish up the day. It was really cool.
It was really cool.
So the takeaway we're hoping today is maybe some of these little things talking about the camp molecule or some of those that may be a little nugget for you, but mainly to understand that your health professional, true health professional, should be holistic, one that asks you about lifestyle, has answers for you about lifestyle, your nutrition, your exercise, the right supplements based on testing, and head toward the lifestyle side. And then it's critical to have your pathology doctor, the doctor that when it hits the fan, right? My arm gets cut or I have some major condition. And, drugs were put here for a reason. They're made for a reason. But it's to save your life,
Yeah.
right? To give you time to get the lifestyle under control. And we use them now as the thing to fix the problem when they're not the fix. And so it's not like we're against them. It's that they've been moved way up, too far up front in people's lifestyles. And we're trying to help them understand that and help these health professionals have the systems to be able to put things in place to help patients, focus them on their lifestyles themselves, take responsibility. And I think that's really what it comes down to, right?
Yeah, it does. I love that.
Well, hopefully you got something else. Let us know what some of the main points that really touched you that might have been a little bit different. And as always, this is Miss Natural Olympia, Hilary.
And this guy right here is Doug the Formulator.
Peace
Thanks for
out.
watching.